talk about are meditation, connecting with nature, and accessing your psychic abilities. But first I want to share a couple of brief stories that kind of incorporate all three. 7 years ago, a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to raft the Hell's Canyon on the Snake River with him. Now Hell's Canyon is some big water with big waves, and for some strange reason Mary didn't want to join me that weekend. But my friend brought his wife, his daughter, and his sister, and he brought a really big raft. We've got a smaller, well, a 14-foot raft. You saw a little bit about that in an earlier speech. Anyway, what I found is in some of these rapids, the waves were so big that I was just about flipping over backwards. We got to a class 4 rapids, and we were scouting from the shoreline, and I'm looking down, and the only logical path down the river, because of the rocks, led into this big diagonal hole. And I'm thinking, I was getting collywobbles, and I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to get through this without flipping over. So I asked, hey, does anybody want to join me in my raft and help hold the front end down? No takers. So I sat down, I meditated, I contacted one of my spirit guides, and I said, hey chief, that's what I call him, I could really use some help here. Well, I started into the rapids, I hit a couple of waves, I was right on that path that I had picked, and the next thing I knew I was through the rapids, and the hole wasn't there. I was like, I don't know how that happened, but thank you. Now I had a really similar experience one weekend. I was rafting from Anacortes out to Cypress Island for the weekend to camp. There was a small craft advisory on the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and this is not a good idea, but I went anyway. Before I left, I did the same thing. I meditated, and I asked Chief to keep an eye on me on my way out to Cypress Island. Well, I got to a point where the waves started getting pretty big, and they were hitting me at a quartering angle. And I started getting collywobbles again. About that time, I spotted the first boat I had seen since I left Anacortes. It was a Coast Guard cutter coming towards me down the channel. Well, I made it across and didn't need the Coast Guard cutter, but it was very reassuring to have them there within sight until I got over to Cyprus. And I thanked them again after that. Now the 3 tools I said I'd talk about: meditation. Meditation is so important that I got a message I should write a book about. Simple meditation. Meditation really can be life-changing. I think it's a way to connect with that inner spiritual part of you that's already calm, content, and wise. You've heard Tana talk about your higher self. I think that absolutely works. And one big reason people don't meditate is they think it's too difficult. Well, all meditating really means, it can be as simple as finding a focal point to slow your thoughts down and allow your mind and body to relax. Now the second topic I was going to talk about is nature. There's a lot of wonderful focal points in nature. Beaches have the sound of waves rolling into shore. Wonderful thing to meditate on, and I think it's part of the reason that beach vacations are so popular. People feel so relaxed and they don't realize they're meditating. There's also wind blowing through the trees or a babbling creek. And you can even meditate on a site. Like last weekend, I was kayaking on Lake Whatcom, came to a beautiful scene looking over the Sudden Valley Golf Course at fog hanging over Lookout Mountain. It's like, just sat there for a couple minutes and just took that in and let go of all other thoughts. That's really a form of meditation. Now, when you're out in nature and meditating with nature, it's really connecting you with the wonderful quantum energy you've heard Tana talk about of nature, which is very rejuvenating. So hopefully I've convinced you that meditation and nature connect together. The third thing I said was I wanted to talk about psychic abilities. Meditation ties because when we meditate, we calm down, and it gives us a chance to let in the subtle psychic messages that are around us all the time. Everyone is psychic, but a lot of people just have so many thoughts racing around in their head, they never hear psychic messages. There are also some simple exercises in this book, Simple Meditation, which, by the way, you can buy a copy for $10 after this meeting. But anyway, there are many benefits to meditation, connecting with nature, and developing your psychic abilities, or connecting with spirit guides. I don't have time to get into all of those tonight. So the most important one really is, if you're in a hazardous or reckless boating situation, it might help to keep you safe.